Hello everyone, today I'll be showing you how to turn an old picture frame into a chalkboard. Someone was giving this frame away for free, and even though it is a lovely print, I can't wait to repurpose it. I just love the wooden frame. It's about 75 centimeters by 50 centimeters. Also, I kind of made up my own recipe for this, but it turns out great. Anyway, let's get into it. So for this project, you're going to need a brush or roller, pumice stone powder, gesso if using the pumice stone powder, chalkboard paint, a cup and a stirring stick, a bowl, a spoon, a rag, scissors, white chalk and an eraser. Flip the frame over to take out the particle board. As you can see, there are staples all along the back holding it in place. In order to take out the particle board from the frame, you're going to have to bend the staples. This frame is over 30 years old, so you can only imagine how stiff and rusty the staples would be. I'm finding this very difficult. I end up giving up on the scissors and switch to using an X-Acto knife. Even with the X-Acto knife, I'm still struggling quite a bit. Whoops! I even end up breaking the tip of the blade. When you finally manage to free the board, slide it out and flip it back over. Grab a damp cloth or towel and give it a good clean. Before getting into my recipe, I want to explain how I came up with it. I was watching a tutorial on how to make your own chalk pastel paper. The link will be in the description box below. One of the methods was to use gesso, gouache, and fine pumice. The reason for this is because when using chalk pastels or any chalks, you get better results when the surface you use has some grit or tooth to it. So it made me wonder, why don't all chalkboard recipes use this? I tried to find recipes for gritty chalkboards, but all I could find was how to make it as smooth as possible. So yeah, you can totally just skip this step and go straight to the first undercoat of chalkboard paint. Anyway, let's continue. Starting with the gesso, pour a couple of dollops into a mixing bowl or container. Of course, use more or less according to the size of your board. Next, grab the pumice stone powder. To be completely honest, I had no idea how much to put, so I ended up putting half a teaspoon. This actually ended up being too much, in my opinion. If I was to do this again, for a board my size, I would much rather put 1/8 of a teaspoon. Now grab your stirring stick and mix it well. Next, add a bit of water. You're going for a workable consistency, kind of like cream, but not as thick as toothpaste. So now apply the gesso mixture using smooth horizontal strokes. When I look up close, I notice I put way too much pumice powder, but that's alright, it ended up working out in the end. Once the gesso is dry, you can now begin your first undercoat of the chalkboard paint. This will be your first of 3 coats, so make sure your strokes are horizontal, as you will also want to end in the same direction. This is what it looks like once it's dry. At this point, it still has a rough texture. Make sure to wait at least 3 hours between each coat. I went ahead and painted the second coat of chalkboard paint. Just make sure your strokes are vertical this time. So for the final coat, you're going to want to make long, smooth horizontal brush strokes. I find this process super relaxing and enjoyable. Now let it dry for at least 3 hours. And this is what it looks like once the final coat is dry. So now we must season the chalkboard. You do not want to miss this step. This is in order to prevent ghosting. Ghosting is when you write something on your board and then rub it off and you still see a trace of it, no matter what you do. To season your board, all you need is to rub the long side of a piece of chalk all over it. Do this in both directions. You only need to do this a couple of times. Now you're going to want to use a damp cloth and rub the board clean. Once dried, season one last time. Use your chalkboard eraser to remove the excess chalk. And voila! Your chalkboard is officially ready to be used. I hope you found this video beneficial. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them down below. And as always, thanks for watching.